need to ensure that sound federal policies are in place that promote responsible management of our nation's infrastructure, careful usage of our valuable water resources, and protection of the environment. Today's hearing will be about the first of these priorities, making sure that our nation has adequate water infrastructure. This has long been an important issue to this subcommittee. Today's hearing is the latest in a series of hearings our subcommittee has held on the important issue over the past several Congresses. It's also our understanding that this hearing will be the first of multiple hearings that the subcommittee intends to hold on how to finance wastewater infrastructure. Our nation's health, quality of life, and economic well-being rely on adequate wastewater treatment. Industries that rely on clean water, like farmers, fishermen, and manufacturers, contribute over $300 billion a year to our gross domestic product. To provide clean water, our nation already has invested over $250 billion in wastewater infrastructure. But this infrastructure is now aging, and our population is continuing to grow, increasing the burden on our existing infrastructure. If communities do not repair, replace, and upgrade their infrastructure, we could lose the environmental, health, and economic benefits of this investment. Various organizations have quantified wastewater infrastructure needs. The Congressional Budget Office, EPA, and the Water Infrastructure Network have estimated that it could take between $300 and $400 billion to address our nation's clean water infrastructure needs over the next 20 years to keep our drinking water and wastewaters clean and safe. This is twice the current level of investment by all levels of government. These needs have been well documented in our subcommittee's prior hearings. We can reduce the overall cost of wastewater infrastructure with good asset management, innovative technologies, water conservation and reuse, and regional approaches to water pollution problems. But these things alone will not close the large funding gap that now exists between wastewater infrastructure needs and current levels of spending. Increased investment must still take place. That leads to the question, where is the money going to come from? There is no single answer to that question. Municipal wastewater services are a state and local responsibility, but there is clearly a strong federal interest in keeping our waters clean. So what we need is an effective partnership between all levels, federal, state, and local. That means all partners need to contribute. If we do not start investing in our wastewater infrastructure now, it is going to cost our nation billions and more in the future. Recently, the House of Representatives passed legislation that will authorize increased funding for wastewater infrastructure through a reauthorization of the Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund program administered by EPA. This bill is designed to help communities nationwide meet their growing demand for wastewater infrastructure needs and improve water quality. When we do invest federal funds in infrastructure, we need to do it in ways that will give us the best clean water value for the dollar. There are a number of potential ways for the federal government to invest. For example, we might provide more loan money to the SRF program or might provide assistance grants. Additionally, we might increase our investment in research and development of new technologies to improve the efficiency of wastewater treatment facilities. Or perhaps there are innovative financing options that would make more funds available. In any event, the federal government is not going to be able to solve this problem alone. At the local level, communities need to evaluate their assets, make capital improvement plans, identify sources of capital to implement the plans, and ask for the rate increases that will repay that capital over a period of time. That last part is very difficult. No one likes to spend more, but if citizens understand the relationship between clean water and wastewater infrastructure, they should be willing to make the investment. Recent surveys show most Americans want a sustainable, dedicated source of funding for water infrastructure projects and would support the creation of a sustainable trust fund for wastewater infrastructure. One of the most complex aspects of moving from the trust fund concept to reality, however, is determining the funding sources for such a trust fund. The water and wastewater community has not supported a user fee for a trust fund, and so far no other water user has stepped forward in support of a fee or tax in their activities either. As a result, it remains unclear how a trust fund would get funded. A recent GAO report found that stakeholders identified three main issues that would need to be addressed in designing and establishing a Clean Water Trust Fund: how a trust fund should be administered, and used, what type of financial assistance should be provided, and what activities should be eligible to receive funding from a trust fund. While a majority of stakeholders have said that a trust fund should be administered through an EPA partnership with the states, they differed in their views on how a trust fund should be used. Stakeholders vigorously stated that a trust fund should be used only to fund the existing clean wastewater revolving fund, that it should support only a new and separate wastewater program, or that it should support both the state revolving fund and a separate program. Some did not support the establishment of a trust fund at all. GAO estimated that the revenue that could potentially be raised by various taxes on a range of previously proposed products and activities, and found that it may be difficult to generate $10 billion annually from any one option by itself. Rather, it probably require a combination of taxes on more than one if the evaluated options to reach the $10 billion target level. We've requested that GAO conduct an additional study to analyze funding and investment mechanisms and revenue sources from potential alternative public or private sources that could be used to fund investments in wastewater infrastructure and other water pollution control activities under the Federal Water Pollution Control Act. We look forward to those results in a few months. I hope our witnesses will bring forward ideas on how we can increase funding for wastewater infrastructure, identify potential willing revenue sources, and ensure equitable means for generating revenues. While a trust fund may have the advantage of providing a dedicated source of funds for wastewater treatment, how to structure the tax to feed the fund remains a challenging task. There is no doubt that the nation's water infrastructure needs are significant and growing. We need at our disposal a wide range of funding mechanisms and funding sources to meet our considerable clean water needs. And with that, I yield back.